All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest today. We have Joseph Solomon. Congratulations, sir, on growing that account 10% and getting funded. How you feel?
I'm good. I feel good. Thank you so much, guys.
Awesome. Well, let's start out. Tell Real Life Nation, tell our audience, our listeners, tell us a little about you. Where do you live? What do you do? Tell us all the things.
So I live in Philly right now. I grew up in Egypt. I'm a dentist. Right now, I'm focused on something called biological dentistry, which focuses on healing diseases from teeth aspect. And I had been studying Ayurvedic medicine, so I had been going to India in second year right now. And I had been trading pretty much learning trading full time for the past couple of years.
Got it. Awesome. Tell us a little bit about how you heard about or got involved with real life trading to start with.
So that was through Tony Robbins. So I'm in a very close network on Tony Robbins' plat, and got recommended to Jeremy, and then I got into mentorship programs, a year mentorship program that he had for crypto, and then that ended up for me being in Tesla Titans with him, and then I ended up to one of the relationship seminars that he holds in Nashville, and yeah, that's how we
Awesome. So you got connected. Yeah, awesome. Well, tell our listeners a little bit about the specific strategies that you used and implemented in order to grow that account 10%. Tell us a little bit what you did there.
So the specific way, I ended up realizing how much work it is after lose one loss after another, and then I ended up studying too much for hours and hours every day for the past year and a half, and there's a self-development end to it where I have to change myself, I have to become a different person to trade correctly, and then there's the market or the work, the chart end of it. The chart end of it will be I use the 10 EMA, the support and resistance. I do use Bollinger Bands. I do use RSI, MACD, directional movement, and then I do look at different time frames. It's almost like the way that I do it, it's almost like the Inception movies. I know that I go through different time frames and I work to be able to tell, okay, for the next hour or 2 hours, where the stock is going to go, and how much is it going to go, and where should I exit. And I worked on refining it to a degree where I want the success rate of the trade to be if possible 99% of the time that to be profitable. And then when I'm not sure about the trade, then I had to work on the self-development end where I have to stay cool, and I have to say control myself, and I have to say, okay, I'm not gonna trade it right now. I'm gonna wait tomorrow. There gotta be more opportunities and stuff. So there's definitely a lot of work to it.
Yeah, and I love what you said there, because a lot of people are like, Matt, tell me what buttons to click. I don't want to have to learn anything. Let me just, click the buttons. And you just, amazingly demonstrated is sometimes you have to become a different person on this journey. And that's why it's really hard to people like, can you guarantee I'm going to be successful? It's like, well, it's really hard. Just like gyms can't guarantee you make gains. A lot of that you have to put in the time. You got to put in the work, right? Make the mistakes, repeat, learn, improve. And that's very, very interesting that you said that and pointed that out as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So before this call, we talked about, you said it took about 12 days or so to get funded this time around. Tell us about that experience with your previous attempts at getting an account funded.
So I had been getting into a loss after a loss after a loss after a loss, and then I was and on every time I lose, I was like, okay, there's something wrong that I have to fix on my end. What needs to be fixed inside of me? Do I need to be calmer, not get emotional? What did I do? That's I have to work on the subconscious levels that I'm more deserving of things to come a lot easier, and I don't have to work at it too hard? Do I have to focus on the process and not the money? And then I have to go back to the market, and then now I have to actually work and see what process didn't work, and then see what was the mistake. Okay, I went against the trend here. I went like, or I overestimated or underestimated, whatever it is. So I kept on working at it. I blew up 3 accounts, and then I had 2 other accounts. The 2 other accounts, I actually was like kind of borderline in the no man's land, as you call it. And then
Yep.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. I have put too much effort into this, and it's my responsibility. I'm gonna be the one. I have to fix me in order for this to work. And then at the very end, and then I was like, okay, persistence. Like I'm gonna get this done. And I figured out whatever the way that I have to do the chart, and I have to always keep working at it every day till it becomes easy. And then within 8.5 days, it's 12 days, but it was like more like 8.5 days. I got to the finish line, and I was like, okay, got it done. It was like a lot of work in the background, because I was used to, like, I grew up like, okay, life is like you have to really work hard for life in order to make money, and like the market is a little bit different in a way that it trains you to be very calm, to be very trusting, and to heal whatever anxiety that you have on the inside. And at the same time, to realize that life was made to be easy, not to be like difficult. And like you have to go through the detox, sort of speak, in order to switch from that mindset to the other mindset. That's why, like, I feel like 95% of traders like kind of quit or don't make it. It needs a lot of persistence, a lot of persistence. I heard it one time, it's like the hardest thing to learn, even more than surgery, even more than like, it's a tough thing to learn, but once you learn it, it's the easiest thing to do. So,
Sure. Yeah. And I love what you said there kind of at the beginning is you kind of like you first figured out what not to do. You figured out how to lose, which as you know is pretty easy to do, like doesn't require a lot of skill. You sometimes you have to figure out what not to do, and then you eventually figure out what to do. And unfortunately, our culture has taught people that failure and making mistakes is bad. Don't do that, right? In high school and college, university, don't do that. That's bad. But unfortunately in the real world, or fortunately, I should say, in the real world, that's just that's part of the learning process, right? It's not like
exactly.
something to avoid, it's something to embrace.
Yeah.
It's part of the process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was watching
absolutely.
Oppenheimer a couple of days ago, and it had Einstein on it. And you remember Einstein, like he like tried, like he failed like 3,000 times before he got one to be like correct. Like, I mean, many of the people that have made it, like when you look at Disney, they told him like, you're a failure. You cannot, like, you basically, you cannot be, you're not creative enough. And he
Sure,
he became Disney. And then you talk about like there's a lot of people that like were like, like you have to learn to fail. KFC, yeah, the Kentucky guy. He kept
we'll take
on
it back.
going from one bank to another. Every bank refused him, rejected him, until after like, I don't know, like 300 banks, like he ended up like like
Yeah,
getting approved, and then he became popular. The people, like, the
sure.
people that
Yeah,
everybody wanted to do business with him. So it's like sometimes it's like also learning to understand when to say no, when to say yes, and to be very persistent, and to say like, success is my way. I don't care what's
sure.
gonna be in my way. I don't care how
Right,
hard I will work at it. I will not give up. I'll keep working.
sure.
I'll keep working. I'll keep working. One way or another,
Yeah.
it will open
And
up.
really, yeah. Yeah, and really, it really comes down to how bad you really want something, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between wanting something and then having like a really strong, burning desire to succeed, right? It's like, hey, if I want to, maybe I want to get a little better at my golf swing, that's one thing. But if I want to ever, be on a pro level, that's something totally different. And most people don't understand that, you have to really, really want it and have not just a desire, but a burning desire and this never give up kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things I want to ask you, kind of as we wrap up here, is people who are somewhere between blowing up that account and getting that 10% growth, somewhere in that what I call that no man's land of not quite blown it up, but yet not quite funded, somewhere in there. Sometimes people are stuck there for weeks, months, sometimes even longer. What advice would you give to someone who's kind of stuck there, maybe losing a little bit of hope, thinking they don't have what it takes, thinking that they're not enough? What advice, what suggestion would you give to them
So
in that stuck?
I think there's three pieces of things, nuggets that I learned here. The first one will be the sizing. Like use like a much smaller size in your trades and like just build it up. So the risks that you're taking is a lot less. And then
Smaller, right?
as you go up, like so you don't blow it up, and then so the risk is a lot less. So lower the risk. That's number one. Number two, it's a chart that I started to actually draw on a board every day, is understanding the compound interest amount. So right now I'm making $10 or $20 a day in the account. Tomorrow, and that will build up to 100. Next week it's gonna build up, and this it's gotta keep on building up from 10 to 100 to 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and so on. And like if I were, and I map it out and on the screen, and I say like, okay, like if I were to make it on today, if I make this specific amount of money, tomorrow it looks small, but in another 2 months, if I keep on adding up and increasing the risk limit as I go, then it's gonna be very exponential. So the numbers like after 2 months are a lot, it's very humongous. So when I look at that, it's like, okay, I don't get like kind of tempted, like kind of like discouraged by like, okay, I'm just making like 20 or 40 or $60 on today's trade. So like having that like longer term perspective, like Tony Robbins says that like we sometimes underestimate what we can do in one and we overestimate what we can do in like 1 year, and we underestimate what we can do in 3 years. In trading world, it's like sometimes we overestimate what we can do in a week or 2 weeks or a month, and we underestimate what we can do in 2, 3, 4, 5 months. So that will be the second one. The third one is the back work. A lot of the back work. So journaling and like going through the process every day. Okay, I did this mistake today. This needs to be fixed. What could I have done better in order to increase the profitability? What did go right? How can I make this more sharpened? What chances did I miss that I could have done? Okay, what did I not notice about the chart pattern or whatever indicators that I'm using that I could have made a mental notice of it? And then doing a lot of the back trading work, and then putting the strategy and then refining that strategy and reviewing that strategy every day. So I think between those three things, like making the risk like kind of controlled, and then like knowing that the long term, like seeing the exponential, the compound interest, and then doing the back work.
Yep. Yeah, and we call that kind of that backward, kind of sharpening the sword, kind of getting a little smarter, maybe being a little more selective of what trades we take, what days we trade, all of those things. So yeah,
and
absolutely.
journaling, that will add a fourth one. Like it's like basically knowing like, okay, like every day there's multiple chances for trading. I might lose like two times. I may not have to trade because it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like it's gonna go the way I want it, or I'm kind of not sure about it. So that's another rule. If I'm not sure about it, I don't trade. If I'm sure about it, I'll trade. But yeah.
Sure. Awesome. So it's kind of like a mental checklist. Do I have a bunch of green lights on this trade? If so, engage. Otherwise, just sit it out and wait for the next opportunity. So love it. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Joseph, again, congratulations. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, and wish you best of luck in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, man.